Most people who eventually become wealthy, they actually show the signs years before they have a dime to their name. But here's the crazy part, almost nobody ever notices.
And by the time everyone else finally figures out what was going on, well, the gap is already huge. And once that happens, it's way harder to look back and see the path they took, let alone try to follow it yourself.
So let's paint a picture. Imagine two guys. They're starting from the exact same place, same city, walking the same streets, about the same age. Both are staring down an empty wallet, feeling that same pressure. Bills are piling up, and that little voice in their head is just asking, how long can this go on? Now let's fast forward 5 years. One of them, he's still telling anyone who'll listen why life was unfair, why he never got a real shot. The other guy, he doesn't really say much about it, but quietly, he's got money. And it wasn't some miracle, no lucky break. It was just hundreds of tiny decisions.
We're going to break down the 7 early signs that made all the difference between those two guys. But, and this is the key, one of these signs is way more important than all the others combined. In fact, this one thing predicts financial success better than being a genius, knowing the right people, or even having a bunch of cash to start with. And the craziest part? Most people miss it entirely.
All right, so let's dive into the first clues. This is really where you start to see those two paths split.
Okay, clue number 1, it's all in your head. It's that moment you finally stop lying to yourself and to others about money.
I mean, how many times have you heard someone say, oh, money doesn't matter? But let's be real. When rent is due and your car is on empty, money suddenly matters a whole lot. See, life kind of has 2 levels of problems. You've got survival, and then you've got meaning. Now, money can't buy you purpose or love, but what it can do is get rid of the survival stress that chokes all that other stuff out. And something really powerful happens when a person just drops the act, stops pretending, and says it out loud. I want financial freedom. The moment they admit that, their decisions start to change for good.
But look, just being honest isn't enough. Our second guy, the one who struggled, he was honest too. The real separation, the thing that splits the paths, shows up in this next behavior. And man, it creates a gap faster than most people can even see. We've all got ideas, right? You're out with friends and someone leans in and says, dude, listen to this, we could make millions. And then what happens? 6 months go by and it's still just an idea. See, most people are trapped in this waiting game. They're waiting for the perfect time, or to know a little more, or for some green light telling them it's totally safe. But here's the thing, perfect never comes. Real opportunities, they usually look like a complete mess. Broken systems, annoying problems nobody wants to touch. The people who get ahead, they just dive right into that mess. Not perfectly, but they move. They're decisive.
Okay, so let's build on that. The next clue is all about how you spend your money. It really comes down to one simple but super powerful question.
So before they buy anything, the person who's on the right path, they stop and ask, is this thing going to make me more money later, or is it just going to quietly bleed me dry? Every single dollar you spend goes into one of 2 buckets, stuff that creates value or stuff that consumes it. And here's the trap, right? When you get your first decent paycheck, you want to show everyone you've made it. You buy the symbols, the flashy stuff. But that stuff just consumes value. The ones who quietly win, they put off the party. They buy the things that are going to work for them, that will create value down the road. It seems like a small thing, but 10 years later, that one little bit of discipline creates an unbelievable gap.
All right, so those are kind of the foundational clues. Now let's go a layer deeper and talk about the invisible forces, the mindset shifts that keep that growth going for the long haul.
For a lot of people, once school is done, the serious learning just stops. But the folks who end up building real wealth, they act totally different. They stay hungry, super curious. They're always learning about new industries, new tech, how people tick. It's like they're constantly upgrading their own mental software. And over time, that knowledge makes them sharper. They start to see opportunities that everyone else is completely blind to. People on the outside might call it luck, but it's not. It's just what happens when preparation finally meets the right moment.
Okay, this next one is a huge one. It's about dodging a silent killer of momentum, the comparison trap. It is so easy to look at someone your age on social media who seems to be crushing it, and suddenly your own progress feels tiny. But you have to remember, everyone is playing a totally different game. Different starting line, different skills, different timing. Comparing your journey to theirs is completely useless. The only thing that matters, the only metric that's going to help you, is looking in the mirror and asking, am I better than I was yesterday? If the answer is yes, then you're winning.
Now, there's another one of these invisible forces that was shaping what happened to those 2 guys in our story. And honestly, most people completely underestimate how powerful this next one is. We're talking about your environment.
Think about it. We're like sponges. We just soak up the energy of the people around us. If you spend all your time in a circle of negativity, just constant complaints, excuses, blaming, guess what? That starts to feel normal. But flip the script. Put yourself in a room with builders, with people who are creating things. The entire conversation changes. Ideas kick out excuses. Plans take the place of complaints. Your environment literally rewires your brain, and over time, that new way of thinking changes everything you do.
Okay, so we've gone through 6 really powerful signs, but this last one, this one's different. This is the one I was talking about at the start. It's the secret ingredient, the one that quietly powers all the other 6. This last sign, it changes the entire game. So, let's circle all the way back to that big question from the beginning. Which sign, which single trait predicts wealth more than being brilliant or knowing powerful people or even having a trust fund?
It's this 7th and most critical sign of all is quiet confidence.
Now don't get this twisted. This is not about being arrogant or the loudest person in the room. Real confidence is calm. It's a deep down belief, a certainty in your gut, that even if you lost everything tomorrow, you could build it all back again.
And that right there, that's why it's the master key. That core belief completely changes how you act. It's what lets you take smart risks, to move before you're 100% sure. It's the fuel for thinking long-term and being smart with your money. It gives you the courage to make moves that scare everyone else off. It's the engine that drives all the other 6 signs. And over time, all those decisions powered by that confidence, they stack up and build a reality that most people can only ever dream about.
So let's just run through them one more time. The 7 signs. 1. Being honest about money. 2. Moving before you're certain. 3. The spending divide. 4. Staying curious. 5. Dodging the comparison trap. 6. Controlling your environment. And 7. Building that quiet confidence. And here's the most important takeaway of all. Notice how not a single one of them requires you to start with money. You don't need connections. They're just behaviors. They are patterns that show up years before the money does.
And that's really the whole secret, isn't it? Wealth almost never shows up in one big, flashy moment. It's built quietly, in the background. It's the result of 1,000 tiny decisions, 1,000 little habits, all compounding on top of each other day after day. From the outside, yeah, it might look like luck, but the truth is so much simpler than that.
One of our 2 men just kept building, brick by brick, while the other one just stopped. And this final thought really wraps it all up. The real difference isn't usually about talent or raw ability. It's about who has the endurance to just keep building, decision by decision, long before there's anything to show for it.